Colonel Subramaniam, Suresh Rajan, and they'll be in conversation with General Arun, who is the General Officer Commanding of Dashinabad area. So again, a very exciting event. You all know the Prime Minister launched the torch, victory torch, which is going around the country. He's coming to Chennai, and we are indeed privileged to honor this torch at MMA Auditorium. And the speaker will be talking to you. All this program will be brought to you live. Not to be missed, happening on 29th of July. The time is at 5 p.m. The change in timing. Kindly note, the circle will be reaching you. Then again, a number of events have been already finalized event till 30th September. We finalized event in respect of Women Business Forum till September. And what we are doing on 2nd of August, we have a truly international panel from USA, UK, and also Malaysia. Mental well-being, living in times of despair. So I don't know time. I won't be telling. You can listen to watch our website to find out all the names. Then on 5th of August, again, we have an event by Revati Ashoka by the Women Business Forum. She'll be talking to us. She's a co-founder, Strategy Garage, and again, she'll be sharing her journey. Then on 15th of August, we have a Goodera Memorial where Soumya Swaminathan, World Health Organization Chief Scientist, will be talking to us. She's going to be bringing more insight. By the time we'll know what's happening on the waves, she will also bring in some great insight to you. On 19th, we have a conclave at IDC Grand Hotel, Chennai, on another important subject of China studies. And what you are doing with China, you'll be doing with the Center for China Studies, is happening at IDC Grand, limited participation. We expect to accommodate only about 75 guests at IDC Grand. Do come, and again, it will be an interesting event. Then on 20th, again, as usual, Read and Grow. It's a monthly book reading session. Then 21st, not to be missed, we are celebrating the Madras Day. The Madras Day will start from the morning till late in the evening. Morning, we are going to start with some excellent quiz all about Madras. Then thereafter, articles about Madras. The evening, we are having an event, Smart City Chennai. We have got some outstanding panelists to think what has happened over 372 years of Chennai, Smart City Chennai. Then on 23rd August, we have a CSR conclave. Again, we have some outstanding speaker to tell what's the journey of Tamil Nadu in CSR conclave. Then Supriya Bhatnaraban, again, be talking to us from Women Business Forum. Then also on 26th of August, we have on what you need to know about doing business in Dubai. Again, we have got some outstanding panelists from Dubai. I mean, this all is in short. I think we have got some numbers, what we really wanted. Now, coming to today's event, again, as I mentioned to you, outstanding event, all put together by the Women's Business Forum. Here, I must thank Mythili Chandrasekar. She's already there. Lata Kumar will be joining us. And also, we have Bhavita, who is also part of the Women Business Council. We have a team of women who are putting together tremendous efforts to bring you some outstanding events. In addition to that, they also have lots of plans, which we will share with you to the mail. We don't want to really steal the time of Richa to share her story. And coming to this evening, warm welcome to all the viewers watching this program live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also our own webcast of MMA and MMA Radio. As usual, if you have any question, please share your question to the numbers which are screened flashed on your screen. All the questions will be compiled and put together, put them before the speaker and other panelists. Please address your question which is relevant to the theme, so that it will be easier for us to compile and put it together to the speaker. They can then responsible. Now, it's indeed my proud privilege to welcome a speaker for this evening, Ms Richa Bajpai, co-founder, Goodera Campus Fund, a very inspiring story. And also we have Mythili Chandrasekar, our consumer behavior and brand strategy enthusiast. She'll be delivering the introductory remarks, followed by Lata. She'll be introducing the speaker. Now, let me have the privilege of introducing Mythili Chandrasekar. Mythili Chandrasekar is all not new to her. You already read her article, you heard her, and she has got over 35 years of experience in consumer behavior and brand strategy. And she's won number of awards. One is the Patricia Man Award of the Women Marketers of UK in 2008. And our clients also include some of the best of the names in the Indian industry, be it ITC, Unilever, Hero MotoCorp, Pepsi, many Hero Motor Corporation, Pepsi, many more. Now I request Mythili Chandrasekar to please deliver our introductory remark. Over to you, Mythili.
Yeah, thank you, Group Captain. Great participation. Welcome everyone to this Women's Business Forum. So I read a quote recently which says that behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have her back. So this Women's Business Forum is about creating that tribe. And already, a large tribe has been created and we want to add to that. So it's about creating a tribe and it's about storytelling, because that's what, inspires and motivates. And the reason, the fundamental premise between this thing is that There is a recent McKinsey global report which says that if there is a 10% increase in women's participation in employment, there is likely to be an 18% increase in the GDP. And that's a good 70% of the entire GDP opportunity. So that's the reason why we are here. And there are enough studies that say that women's education is really going up. In fact, in many areas, women are outstripping men in education, which in itself is a good thing, because the more women get educated, apparently, the healthier the country becomes. But the fact still is that women are getting educated, but they're not coming into the employment bucket. So what's stopping them? Yeah. So again, there are enough researchers that say that fundamental reason is still social norms and standards that stop you from entering. Once you enter in mid-career, people tend to drop out because of balancing issues of home and work and bringing up children. And then there is security and glass ceiling and things like that. When it comes to entrepreneurs, again, there are a large number of women increasingly who are doing things, but they tend to stay under the radar because they prefer to belong to aggregating companies rather than come out alone. Again, the barriers have been found to be self-doubt, low risk quotient, financial management issues, gaps in networking. And so therefore, they are unable to scale up and they don't have bargaining power. So really, the Women's Business Forum wants to, over a period of time, we are going to be bringing some great storytellers to find out what's happening in employment, what's happening in mid-career growth, and what's happening in entrepreneurship. So today, and these storytellers, most importantly, are going to be available to guide us. They're not just going to tell their story and go away. Anyone who comes to speak here really is willing to offer their time to anybody in the audience who later on wants to connect, whether it's a one-on-one or in a group. So welcome once again. With that, I'll hand over to Lata to give you a short intro into Richa, and then let's hear the story. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you, Mythili. Before that, let me introduce Lata before she takes over, because Lata needs to be introduced. Let me do the privilege of introducing. Thank you, Mythili, for setting the context. In fact, Mythili, Lata, and Babita, the three team, Mythili is behind, the force behind steering our women forum. They got lots of plans, as I mentioned to you. As I said, the format of this event is Lata will be introducing, setting the context. Let me have the privilege of introducing Lata. Lata Rajagopalan Kumar. You all know she has also spoken at MMA platform, and she's really set the context when her speech was very well received, and we'll be publishing her speech in this current issue of the business mandate. She's a PhD in communication and also founder of director of Curious People C4D project, and this also won award at regional and national level for advertising, creativity, and brand communication. And she's also very good in sports. Former tennis player, represented Chennai Madras University, Tamil Nadu State, and also won All India Inter-University tournament bronze and also national games, and really great achievement. Keen interest in classical arts and reading. Now I request Dr. Lata Rajagopalan Kumar to set the context, introduce the speaker. Over to you, Lata.
Thank you very much. I think the context has been set very well by Ms. Mythili Chandrasekar. So I move pronto to introducing our speaker. Meet Richa Bajpai, a woman with a flair for entrepreneurship right from the time she was a student, making it to several young achievers lists. Richa, it has been quite a task to condense all your achievements, profile, and your experiences into a short introduction, but here it is. Richa is a London Business School graduate and also part of Forbes 30 Under 30 India and Asia list and MIT Innovators Under 35 India list. She founded a renewable energy startup called NextGen in her final year of engineering in 2009. As early as that, she was an entrepreneur, and she ran it till 2013. Richa then founded Goodera in 2014, a very unique global technology platform that helps large corporates manage their CSR, sustainability, and volunteering initiatives backed by investors like Umedyar Network, Bini Bansal of Flipkart, and among others. She is also part of the investment committee of Creator Fund. It's investing in student-led startups across UK. She is an advisor to Blue Knot Partners, a boutique PE firm headquartered in London, operating in the lower mid-market segment. Richa is the founder of Campus Fund that invests in student-led startups across India. This is her latest venture, and it has her complete efforts, focus, and passion. Over to Richa Bajpai.
Thanks so much for such a kind introduction. I am seriously overwhelmed. It's a privilege to be here. So I really want to thank all of you for making the time to hear my story, and would love to, interact with you. Would love to keep it, an interaction rather than a monologue from my end. I just have a small little presentation. Would walk you through that, and then would love to have a conversation with all of you, because I'm on a learning journey, and it's great to sort of interact with all of you here. So my journey has been with highs and lows. Entrepreneurship, as you all know, is a roller coaster ride. So before we get into my specific journey, I have a small little video to share with all of you.
The life of a startup is a pretty different culture. It's a different environment. It's a different pace. You guys are going to witness and experience chaos. It's your job to control that. It's like taking the tiger by the tail. You just got to hold on, because it is a one wild ride. It's like riding one of the most emotional roller coaster rides you will ever be on, where the highs are higher than, take whatever the most incredible experience you ever had, multiply that by 10, and you're getting close to the feeling, the satisfaction of building something from nothing and seeing that thing grow like the Dickens. But the lows are lower than the most depressed moment of your entire life.
Right. So I think this summarizes entrepreneurship in a nutshell for all of you. And it's as he said, it's like taking the tiger by its tail, right? So, what are some of the key attributes, when you are doing a startup? What are some of the things, for you to be able to do to sort of venture into entrepreneurship? One of the biggest thing is to be able to thrive in uncertainty, right? Because when you're building something from nothing, it's the journey from 0 to 1. The journey from 0 to 1 is very different from the journey from 1 to 100, right? So when you're doing that 0 to 1 journey, there is so much of uncertainty, and there are, ups and, lows, highs and lows, and you should be able to thrive in that, and you should be able to think, right? So basically enjoy the think, try, learn, rinse, repeat cycle, right? Because when you're building something, you will not get, the product market fit on day one. You will have to continuously evolve. You will have to be agile. You will have to, listen to your customers. You will have to listen to your market, right? And evolve your business model accordingly, right? And this is possible only when there is a sense of purpose. You are a purpose-driven founder, and that is the core reason why you've taken the path of entrepreneurship, right? It's not about earning a monthly salary. It's about a purpose which you're trying to solve for, and that is when you get into the path of entrepreneurship. And believe me, we hear all the success stories, that this has become a unicorn, this startup has raised X amount of money and things like that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Statistics say that only 0.1% of startups are successful, right? But there is a huge long tail of startups which are not successful, right? So you should have the courage to fail, because it's not an easy journey, and having that strength to accept that this is something which is not going to work. You should have that courage to fail, but at the same time there should be an intrinsic optimism to keep yourself motivated, because as an entrepreneur, you are just not responsible for keeping yourself motivated, but keeping your entire team motivated, right? Because you are building an organization, right? And it can't be built alone. It has to be built together with a team. And that team is always going to look up to you for that motivation, right? So that intrinsic optimism is very critical when you are sort of starting on the journey of entrepreneurship. At the same time, you should be willing to take criticism of your idea. That's feedback, is what I call, right? It's very important for you to hear. There will be a lot of noise coming to you. Obviously, you choose, take the decision and move ahead. But be ready to have constructive criticism, and be the own judge, right, of what you're trying to do, whether it is the need in the market, are you too early, things like that, right? And also, being an entrepreneur is like you are doing the job from a janitor to a CEO, right? So you should be comfortable. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone. So as it is said, ability to wear many hats, in fact enjoy living outside the hat, right? So these are some of the key aspects, I think, one should keep in mind before starting the journey of entrepreneurship, right? And that's what I feel. Entrepreneurship makes you strong as an individual, broadens your horizon, broadens your perspective about life. So it's a path worth taking. If you have these attributes, if you can build this attributes and this kind of an attitude when you're taking the path to entrepreneurship, right? So quickly, I'll just walk you through my journey. I don't know how did all of this happen. It just happened. Nothing was planned. Before 2009, I lived in 5 cities in India, from north to the south. I was in Kerala, I was in UP, I was in MP, I was in Jaipur, so on and so forth. That gave me an opportunity to sort of interact with different cultures, and also become sensitive. I think made me more adaptive to different circumstances. So as a kid, I stayed in 5 cities, tried my hands at multiple things in school. I used to be a seasoned debater, used to go in for a lot of competition because, I like to speak, right? So my mom used to, send me for dance classes, singing classes, painting classes, what not, to sort of, identify what my passion was. But it so happened that I liked public speaking. So, I became a seasoned debater in school. Also was an NCC cadet. I enjoyed that the most. In college, I just didn't want to, keep myself to engineering studies. They could be a little bland for me. So I used to do part-time gigs in Jaipur. So I used to anchor a live show with Bhaskar TV. It's a television channel, local television channel in Jaipur. Also used to be a part-time radio jockey with 93.5 SFM then. So just keep myself busy apart from studies, at the same time to get multiple experiences in life, right? So I was very keen on experiencing different facets of life, and that's what led me to all these things, which I did until my college days. So when coming to the final year of engineering and things like that, I was like, I need to do something which is different, which pushes me to my limits. And the objective was, I was a kid, I'm sure you guys, probably would laugh at it. So I used to say that I want to do something that puts my name in history books, right? So that is something that I used to say back then. And I thought, entrepreneurship is probably the route to it. That's what led me to start, along with my co-founder, something called as NextGen. NextGen, we built a biogas plant, which actually powers telecom towers. So we did a pilot, in Mehboob Nagar in Andhra Pradesh. This picture is actually from the site, the location in Mehboob Nagar. So that was my startup, first startup actually. From January 2009 to Feb 2014, in the renewable energy space. And, at that point in time, the venture capital ecosystem in India was very nascent. And this was not a typical venture backable business, right? So this whole project of ours, we got funding from Royal Bank of Scotland Foundation. So this was a grant capital that we got because it was in the segment of renewable energy. With this, we also came into the in the whole circuit of foundation money, corporate social responsibility, sustainability, and things like that. So we hived off and, did a technology transfer to Mahindra. They took over this technology of ours, and we pivoted into a technology company. We started a company called as Goodera. Goodera is basically a technology company, an enterprise SaaS company, which actually helps large enterprises measure and manage the impact of their CSR, sustainability, and volunteering initiatives, right? And I'm sure you all must be knowing that in 2014, the Companies Act, 2013 came into effect. And CSR was made mandatory, wherein companies had to spend 2% of their profits on CSR. So that actually acted as a catalyst for our business, because we got access to the boardroom, because the board was responsible to take such decisions. So we started off in India, and then we expanded to the American market and later to the European market. So we raised about $18 million in venture capital. From Omidyar Network, Teneo Ventures, Bini Bansal, various other stalwarts in the industry. It was an interesting journey, to see how the world was evolving with regards to doing good, right? Because in this whole world of doing good, there's so much of capital, right? But there is no tangible output, right? You see a lot of English being written, you see a lot of pictures being shown, but there is no quantification of impact that happens, right? And that is what we are trying to do through Goodera by bringing in technology to this ecosystem. By 2019, we had a good leadership team in place. I was sort of in my comfort zone. So I wanted to push myself again and test my limits. So, I resigned from my CEO role, also from the board, and decided to move out and, venture into the unknown. And, as an entrepreneur, it's very difficult to let go, right? Something that you've built from nothing, it's like your own baby. And that's the biggest learning that I had a transition of 1 year when I spoke to my board from 2018 to 2019 to do a proper transition so that the company continues to grow. So Goodera is still being run by my co-founder and a brilliant management team. But this was my biggest learning, I just wanted to push my limits, and experiment new things. And, learning to let go, was a very difficult thing. But I think it helped me evolve, as an individual. So after moving out of Goodera, I sort of, it was exploring my next adventure, and that's when I landed in London. I joined the London Business School. So what best to do while taking a break, right? I mean, you need to keep yourself active as well. You need to give fodder to your brain. And, that's the best time to go to school. So I joined the London Business School. And again, as an entrepreneur, you are very restless at times. So though I was, studying, I thought I need to explore, things, explore in London. So I joined Create a Fund. It's a fund which sort of backs student-led startups in the UK region. I got an opportunity to be a part of the team, evaluating various startups, taking investment decisions. So I was completely amazed to see the kind of innovation that was happening. Right. And at the same time, from a VC ecosystem, I also wanted to see the other spectrum of the finance world, wherein it's about buying and selling stable companies. So that's when I also got an opportunity, to work with Blue Knot Partners, which is basically acquiring small companies in the UK, running them and turning them around in 4 to 5 years, right? So I basically tried to sort of learn, as I said, taking different experiences in life is very important. So I ensured that apart from academics, I'm involved in things beyond the London Business School, right? So that's when Create a Fund happened and Blue Knot Partners happened. It was a pretty interesting journey, so to say. And that actually motivated me to sort of start Campus Fund in India. So, I launched this micro VC in India, whose objective, it's like Create a Fund for the Indian region, wherein the objective is to support student entrepreneurs. So we invest in young entrepreneurs, in students who are building viable businesses of the future. So I launched this in July 2020, built a team of students, across the country who work with me while they are studying, right? And, we've backed a couple of student entrepreneurs who are doing great. So, that's what I did, and what I'm currently doing. And in this whole process, like learning to let go was my, biggest realization, when I was leaving Goodera. The biggest learning that I've had when I was trying to build the fund and sort of venture into the finance ecosystem was asking for help. Because I've been an entrepreneur, I've been on the other side of the table raising money. Now I was turning into an investor, so to say. And this whole financing world was new for me, right? So I'm highly grateful to the folks who helped me venture into the world of finance, and that's when I learned asking for help, right? Because if you don't ask for help, what is the maximum response that someone can give you? Sorry, I don't have the time to help you, right? Or they won't respond at all. But at least you've asked. If you've never asked, that means the answer is always no, right? At least knock doors. Some will open for you and some will close, right? So that's a good learning that I had, in my whole journey of building Campus Fund, which is still, a baby, which we are building and, trying to build the student entrepreneurship ecosystem in India so that, more and more students, youth can take the path of entrepreneurship and can see themselves being job creators rather than job seekers, right? So this has been my journey. As I was telling, I'm still trying to find answers. I'm on a quest. I still don't have answers. I'm learning, and this has been my learning journey till now. And I'm very thankful and grateful to all the males and the females who've supported. So it's a tribe which has been supporting me, and I continue and I wish to continue to support other folks in the ecosystem as well. So some of my key takeaways which I would like you all to also think about, that in this world which is it's sort of a rat race, everybody is running there, everybody is just keeping themselves busy. There is no particular definition of success. success is in your mind, right? So, success is subjective, so don't let the world define your success. You define your own success, and that is what will make you happy and proud about yourself, right? So, define yours. Definition of success is very subjective. Define yours. Secondly, which I have learned, whatever you've seen in my journey, nothing was planned. So don't try and plan your whole life. Things will happen. It's a consequence of many small events, right? We may think that, okay, if I do this, I might digress, from my path by 10%, right? But if you digress like this for about 18 times, you will be 180-degree completely opposite of where you started, right? So it's a consequence of many small events in your life. So please, don't try and plan your own life, whole life. It's good to think of the future, but don't get boggled by it, right? Just relax and let life happen at times. You might get certain surprises, which will just amaze you, right? So let things happen. Last but not the least, entrepreneurship is tough. Believe me, I mean, I've cried nights together. I've been in stress, in terms of, at times where there have been lows, and you get ecstatic when, there are highs. So entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a lonely journey. Yes, you build your team as you move along, but yes, it's a lonely journey. So do it for the right reasons. When I say the right reasons, you means that you're passionate about it, right? And you strongly believe in the purpose of what you're doing, right? That's when, take the path to entrepreneurship, because then you will have that intrinsic optimism in yourself, right? So recall what it is said in the movie Three Idiots, right? Go after learning, go after, entrepreneurship. If you like, everything else will follow. I would say financial freedom and various other things are actually a byproduct, which happened to you because you're doing something which you're completely passionate about, right? So that's been my takeaway, as a student, as an entrepreneur. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And as I say, once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, and that's how it is, right? So that's my little journey for you. Would love to answer any questions, get your views, thoughts. Thank you so much for having me here as part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Richa. Mythili, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richa. That was absolutely fantastic. I am someone who spent my entire 40 years in one industry and over 35 years with one company. So for someone like that, this is a really audacious, inspiring and admirable story. So hats off to you.
Really kind.
I wanted to ask a couple of very practical questions. Yeah. So when you start, and I'm talking in general, doesn't have to be just your story. Yeah. There is the question of how much of my money will be required. How long will it take? Firstly, I have to learn to pitch and get money.
Right.
How long will it take for that money to come, and then it will grow? Right. Meanwhile, where is my earning going to come from? Is some kind of financial cushion required? So that first bit about the finance, can you just give us some pointers, something? Yes. And I'm presuming that you need a good support system at home.
Right. So depending upon the life stage you are, your needs are different, right? So I'll tell you, so obviously if you have to financially support your family, then it's tough to start, if you don't have that constraint, then when you're in your 20s, right, you can take the risk and the bet, right? You can survive very frugally, right? So, just to share my own personal example, when we started off, the only thing that me and my co-founder said to each other was, we will not ask money from our parents. The day we have to do that, we'll take up a job. At least we were, educated to be able to get some sort of a job, right? So while we were trying to build, something, we did some consulting assignments here and there so that we could at least get some, capital, which keeps us afloat, at least gives us food to eat, and some place to sleep, right? I mean, you have to be really frugal. And to be very honest, in your initial years, if you build something very frugally, right, you will understand the value of money, right? And that is very important, to sort of learn, however rich you are, if you don't appreciate the value of money, it's not good, is what I feel, right? I mean, you need to be sensible about it. Money is not everything, but still you need to be very careful about it, right? So in your 20s, it's okay, you can take the risk of, being completely, living like a fakir and, trying to build things. But when you get in your 30s, right, like for example, and if you're single, it's okay, but still your life standards would have changed and things like that. If you're coming from a corporate job, you're used to getting a salary, and that there will be, an SMS coming to you every month and that salary has been credited and stuff like that. So and if you're married or whatever, if you have other responsibilities, then if you're starting in that phase, then it makes sense that you reach out to friends and family initially to pool in some capital for you, right? If they believe in you, that they will risk that capital for you. And for you also to make a kitty, if you want to be an entrepreneur and if you've built a kitty for yourself, okay, this is the capital which I will set aside, which will at least sustain me for the next 12 to 24 months. Not a luxurious life, but a good living, right? So that you can build, because at certain point in time, money should not be troubling you. When you're building something, if there is a constant factor, oh, I don't have money, then it becomes difficult, right? It sort of sways you from giving your 100%, right? So build that corpus that, okay, let me try this for the next 12 to 24 months and I will have enough capital to sustain myself, and I have my friends and family to support me, right? And then start building, and then you will get to know, right, whether the business is working or not. And otherwise you'll always have an option to fall back to a job, right? So I'm saying that even so 40s, 50s, whenever you start, it have some cushion, so that you can take care of your family and things like that. If it's just right out of the college, you can take a little more risk, and try to do side gigs, which keep you afloat. So I think, and this is something which I've realized lately, not earlier. Wish I had realized this earlier, that do not keep one source of income. You need to continue to have some side gigs which you're passionate about, so that you're not dependent on one thing per se. There's one core thing that you're doing, but on weekends or whatever, it could be very simple as teaching, right? So that's something, and invest your capital. That's my second biggest learning. I wish I had learned it 10 years back, but invest your capital so that it fights inflation.
Okay.
So I'll just ask one more question before handing it over to all the guests.
Yes.
Was there any difference at all being a woman? Because
Right.
there was nothing, your story was a complete unisex story.
Right.
Yeah. So is there any difference?
So I'll be very honest. There have, like, touch wood, there haven't been so much of a challenge per se, but yes, in some pockets, I could feel that difference, between, say me and my co-founder, when you're talking to certain uh, man, I'm a girl. So,
Yeah.
you meet different kinds of people, right? and you realize that there is a certain sort of a bias. So, again, if they were important people and, we had to do business with them, so at least we would switch places, right? And do that. But if I reflect in my hindsight, I think we should have chosen not to work with such people. And going forward, I will do that.
Okay.
Right? But yes, I will be wrong in saying that I did not experience this. I did. Probably I would react in a very different way now, than I did earlier, because, I didn't have that kind of a sensibility at that time.
Great, Richa. I'm going to start following you now to see what else you're up to.
So
I have a
thanks.
question, Richa.
Yes,
First,
yes.
thank you. This was a very, very nice session. One is it addressed the key points that we were aiming to achieve through this forum. And secondly, it was beautifully simple and evocative in the way you presented it.
Thank you.
Okay. My question for you is more on a personal level.
Yeah.
As a woman or as a person, what did you feel? Okay, you were a young person when you started this, you were a student. Did you lose normal student life? Did you have the same social interactions? Is there a price to pay for this? And the second thing is, it continues. The second question is related to the first question. Similarly, in the later stages of your life, what were the challenges? What did you think you gave up or compromised?
Right. That's a very
Great question.
a very realistic and tough question, Lata. So again, as I reflect back, so I would say my 20s flew in a jiffy.
Okay.
Right. I am in my 30s now. So to be very honest, when you're working, when you are an entrepreneur, so, I did enjoy my engineering life. Until I was 22, I was a radio jockey and a television anchor and things like that. That was fun. But in my final year, when I started building my startup, right? So it gradually took over everything. You 24/7 is what you do, right? You're working. And, as your team grows, as things grow, you get so much of responsibility, right? I mean, we were hiring people senior than us, right? So you
Right.
had to learn to, work with them, right?
Yeah.
Hiring folks younger to you is probably easier, but, hiring folks much more senior than you, I mean, that's also an art, right? So as the company evolves, you as an entrepreneur also has to evolve, right? So to be very honest, my social life was zil.
Okay.
It was just work. I used to travel, and you didn't have the energy for any social life, right? What you would do is you would just mingle and party with your colleagues at work. That's all. But then again, so I was not able to, be in touch with a lot of my friends per se. But then when I quit, and that was also one of the reasons, I decided to quit, that I need to take a break, it got into me so much. You wouldn't believe, since 2019 till today, I've lost 50 kgs of weight.
Wow.
Just because I started sleeping at the right time and eating food at the right time, just because of these two, right? So
Right.
I lost 50 kgs in 2 years. So, I went, and that's why I wanted to take a break. And now, while I'm building Campus Fund, I mean, those are some of the mistakes that I did. Now I'm trying to connect back with my friends. They are kind enough to let me in, build a social circle and things like that. If given an opportunity to go back, I would try and make time for something like that.
Right.
But so yes, there are certain aspects of life which do take a hit, because it's a very demanding journey, to be very honest.
Yes. Thank you for that honest answer.
Yeah.
I'm sure others have questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Richa. We have more than 875 viewers watching the program live from various social media portals today. I got a number of questions, and I will very interesting questions. And because the inspiring talk really attracts. The full factor is phenomenal. Thanks to you so much. It generated so many questions. Here is a question from Mr. Sudarshan from Coimbatore. He says, having worked with VC company like Blue Knot, what's in your opinion is the most vital factor that I should focus on as an entrepreneur to make my startup investors ready to invest in my company?
Right. So, one of the key things that investors look for while investing. So, I have this story. Let me just explain it like this. There is a turf, there is a horse, and there is a jockey. Okay. So the turf is the market in which you're operating, right? So if the market is your own colony, it is very small, it will not attract any investor. But if the market is the entire world, then it will attract the investor, right? So the turf, jockey is you, the entrepreneur, and the horse is the business or the product that you're building, right? So it's a combination of the three, right? So, and at times it is said market sort of beats everything. At times you are a little too early, or at times you are a little too late, right? So it is also said, be at the right place and wait for the right time to come, right? But for a VC to make an investment in your company, this is the combination broadly that they will look at: the turf, the jockey, and the horse. So that's my answer.
Lovely, brilliant answer. It's as good as going to a race course and hoping to win money. Here is a question from Colonel Rawat. Colonel Rawat wants to know, Madam, you mentioned you were an NCC cadet.
Right.
But I want to know why you did not choose to join the armed forces. The armed forces losses today is a business's gain. What's your view on this?
Oh man, that's one of my dreams. If given an opportunity, I'd love to, love to do that. Flying a Sukhoi has been like my dream forever. And, I'm planning to take up to fly very soon. But yes, given an opportunity, would love to. Just that, life happened. Otherwise, I would have definitely tried. Yes. I mean, that was one of the reasons, to join NCC and stuff like that. It was fun. I learned shooting, paragliding, and all of that stuff. It was fun. But yes, I mean, I hold great respect for that profession. Yeah.
Great, madam. The NCC also teaches you so many of discipline, which really helps you in your entrepreneurial journey. Here's a question from Mr. Ramanujam from Bangalore. He says, having started in India and expanded to the US, share with us some of the nuances of establishing a company in the foreign country.
Right. Okay. So, again, I'm trying to be as honest as I can here. It is very important to sort of understand the cultural dynamics, of any country that you want to expand to, right? So, if you're in Rome, do like what Romans do, right? So if you're in the US, work like how Americans work, right? So obviously some things won't come to you naturally, because we have a different style of working in India versus, working in, say, America versus working in Europe. So you have to learn those cultural nuances and, understand, everybody is a human and everybody works on emotions. Human emotions are universal. They are just packaged different way depending upon, in which region you are. So like, for example, the West is more individualistic, whereas the East is more community based, right? And that's how we also operate. Even in our, professional life, some of those cultural nuances flow in, right? So I'm saying invest enough time to be able to understand those nuances. And it's always good that you have local people in your team, right? That helps you build your credibility in that market. So, we ensured that we had Americans on board as well, who could, help us and gives confidence, when you're, speaking to people, trying to build your new business and stuff like that, right? So I think, it's ultimately all about the human nature, and you should learn to navigate that. And if you can do that, then, things work out is what my answer would be.
Great, Richa. Here's a question from Lakshmi from Chennai.
Yeah.
She wants to know what influenced you to step down from the co-CEO position. Do you recommend sabbatical, not only for entrepreneurs, even others?
So I think, when you start feeling that you're too comfortable, I think, you should, shake yourself. And that was the feeling that I was getting, that, and, I was relatively young, like, I was 31, and, I wanted to sort of, come out of my comfort zone, roll up my sleeves and, build something again or explore something new, and also probably take care of my health or whatever. So I thought, maybe good time to take a break. Obviously, there is no harm, in taking a break, but ensure that while you're taking a break, you keep your mind active, right? It could be, through following a hobby. I went back to school just to keep myself active. So, otherwise, because what happens is we are so grooved in to, work so intensely and operate like a machine that empty time frustrate you, right? So you need to keep giving fodder to your brain, and that's why, if you are feeling exhaustive, if you want to take a break, but do things that you enjoy, and then come back as a refreshed person and do something. So that was, that is what, that's what motivated me to sort of step down. And I knew that the company was in safe hands, right? I wouldn't have left it when it was in a tough situation. Everything was going hunky dory, and that's when I thought, probably I can make a move and it'll still continue to grow. So you have to be reasonable, in terms of your exit as well.
Hey, madam. Here's a question from Professor from Danvante National College, Nagpur. He says, how can colleges, universities can encourage students to come up with entrepreneurial ideas? How can we encourage the students to venture into entrepreneurship rather than trying to get hired? We want to, how can you make them, as you said, be a job giver than a job seeker?
So I think, that's something which is, universal. I mean, all MBA colleges, engineering colleges that I've experienced, everybody is like, day zero, you have to get placed. Day one, you have to, that's like a frenzy that is created. And, schools talk about their success that, 100% of the students placed and stuff like that, right? So, you sort of tend to get carried away by that FOMO. We need to create an ecosystem which gives a cushion to the students who take the path of entrepreneurship, that even if they fall back, they will have enough support to come back, right? So like, for example, I know this of, I'm Ahmedabad, I'm not sure of about other colleges, but they give you, a break. If after first year of your MBA, you want to do entrepreneurship, you can take a break and come back and join the second year, right? Or if you are doing entrepreneurship after the second year and you're not sitting in placement, after 2 years, you can go back and the institute will help you with regards to placements and things like that, right? So this is a move in the right direction. But I'm saying we need to see more examples. And for those examples to come, I think as a society overall, we should learn to applaud failures. We just applaud successes, which I think, creates that fear of failure. Believe me, there will be so much to learn from failures that you won't have to learn from successes, right? So we should learn to accept the failures and applaud the people who tried. And that is what is needed. And that is what is needed heavily in the education ecosystem in India. That's the point. Yeah.
Lovely. Fear of failure, celebrate failure. It's not happening, but it's happening more than what it was earlier in India. Here's a question from a student from SRM University. Madam, huge appreciation to you for being listed under 30. I'm currently a student of business administration. How can I make it to that list in the next 10 years? Please give me your advice.
Become an entrepreneur. Create job. You will be in that list automatically. India needs jobs. There are youth you create jobs, you become an entrepreneur, you will be in that list.
Great that the desire is there in the first place.
Yes.
Yes. It is again a question from Mr. Kumar from Chennai. What he wants to know is, Madam, you have been a multifaceted personality. Does this thing really help you in your entrepreneurial journey? Because at times, too much of ideas, too much of talent also at times, really doesn't give you kindle your thought process. You get clouded by the ideas. Is it true?
True. So, I don't know how many, I mean, he's being very kind. But I've done things, at least I've tried to keep myself focused on the things that I'm doing, right? So, when I'm doing something, I try to concentrate on that. So when I was building a startup, I build it, all together for 10 years without swaying here and there, right? So it's like a step function. You build something, that's when you dedicate, then you come to a floor wherein you explore different things in your life, you find your interest, and then build it for the next couple of years, right? So you have to build, take a break, build, take a break, like that. And when you're building or when you're doing something, then be focused, because if you don't focus, then your energy dissipates. I agree. So focus is critical, and at some point learning is critical, but I would still say experience different things, because it broadens your perspective, right? So it just helps when you're building.
Superb. Before I go to the next question, I want to tell the viewers, as Mythili has said, we have got a mentorship thing offered by MMA. Visit our website. There is, you want to be a mentor, you enter. You want to be a mentee, you enter, so that we can connect you to the people who are thinking. Because if you want to achieve your objective, as Richa said, you need a mentor at times, so that we can guide you through and take you through the difficult path which you are going to face in the entrepreneurial journey. We got another 5 minutes. We'll try and accommodate as many questions as possible. The next question is again from Mr. Ramesh. He's from Chennai again. Seeing the resilience of the ESG funds, investment behavior is likely to experience a shift from traditional portfolios to sustainable ones. Nonetheless, the burning question still remains unanswered. Will ESG investing become a new normal?
I hope and wish and pray that it happens, because the whole world has seen how the pandemic has, jolted the entire world, right? And it is a result of our unsustainable practices, right? If the funds can be bold enough to manage the funding, or give funding depending upon how conscious the business builders are on the triple bottom line, which is just not about profit but people and the planet together, then probably it'll arrive. I think it's the need of the hour. I agree completely that a lot of it is still lip service. Very few people can walk the talk when it comes to ESG, but it's the cry of the hour, not even the need of the hour. Seeing how the pandemic has panned out and things like that, I wish and hope that it becomes a reality, but it's still a decade away till the time this sort of a thing mainstreams.
Here's a question from Mr. Fernandez from Mumbai. What he wants to know is, the failure rate of startups is as high as 70%. What do you think are some of the main reasons for this high failure rates in India? And what role can leadership play, not just in prolonging the life of startups, but also ensuring that they emerge as a successful enterprise?
Right. So I think first and foremost, it is very important. As I said, market is sort of the winner, right? So you could arrive early, you could arrive late, right? So you need to time yourself well, and that's why you need to understand, in the ecosystem you want to operate. That is one of the key reasons, for startups to fail, right? That is one of the reasons. Imagine a Flipkart or an Amazon coming in the 60s, or in the 70s, when there was no penetration of internet or things like that. They wouldn't have succeeded, right? There are many brilliant people who've started off, but they could not take off because the market was not ready. Obviously, as the first mover, you have to evangelize. A lot of effort goes in that, but the headwinds should be in the right direction. That's one. Second is, if you're building in your own utopian world, right? So you have a problem, and it's your own personal problem, and you think that it's the problem of the world, and you start building for that, right? So it shouldn't be a utopian problem. It has to be a problem which is real, right? Only when it can be a latent problem, but it has to be a real problem. And if you're solving for a real problem, then you're on to building something. And so market is one thing. And the second thing which is very critical is basically the co-founding team. It has to be a team which can stay together in the toughest of the times. So you definitely need a team to build something, because it's a lot of intense work that goes in. So and it should be a team which is complementary in skills, right? So that you can bring in the best of from each one of the team members, right? So I think these are some of the things which need to be taken care of. And like in India, I would say in India or otherwise as well, doing a startup has become fashionable. I'll get that tag of being a founder or a CEO, things like that. Don't get into entrepreneurship just for that tag. You will not be able to sustain it, because the flashy it looks, actually it's not flashy. There's a lot of heart, sweat, and blood that goes into doing something like that. It's said that every overnight success has been built over the past 10 years. So don't get it for the jazziness and flashiness of it. No, it's not like that. That's not the reality.
Lovely. Yes.
Great answers.
Yes. We have a question from Sudha from Chennai. She wants to know, what's the biggest challenge you faced in your entrepreneurial journey, and how did you overcome it, and what did you learn from it?
Right. So, as I said, one of my biggest learnings of being an entrepreneur is to learning to let go, because when you are, when we started off, we were like 2 people, then we became 3 people, 10 people, you used to do your flight ticket booking, to cleaning your office, to writing every single proposal, to doing everything, right? And then you feel like this person won't be able to do it the way I would do it, right? Let me only do it. Such feelings come to your mind. But you have to understand and appreciate, like a kid grows, right? You gradually start leaving that kid to walk, then run and things like that, right? So you have to you hire great people so that they can also add to the brain power of the company and build it with you, right? If you have to tell them everything, then what is the advantage of hiring great people on your team? So you have to get comfortable. It's not easy. You always have this feeling, I'll do it much better. It will take me another hour to do it, but let me do it. No, no, no. Delegation is a key task, a key skill that you need to learn, and which doesn't come naturally if you are an entrepreneur, right? You have to learn that. So that's been my biggest learning. And then patience. Patience is key, because nothing happens overnight. You have to be very patient. I've been a short-tempered, impatient person to hopefully a much more patient and no temper person, all because of my journey as an entrepreneur. So those are the things.
Super, madam. I take 2 last questions. We got another 3 minutes to go. I'll try and accommodate 2 questions.
Yeah.
One question is from then Mr. Balachandran from Pondicherry. See, what he wants to know is, today the startups it really boomed today in India. The startup culture is really set in. But the moment startup comes, people start looking at valuation and start thinking, how can they exit and make money of what's happening? What's your one lesson to the entrepreneurs who are looking at valuation in terms of their organization, in terms of their entrepreneurial journey? And is it the right approach to do that?
So, don't build a startup to chase valuations, right? I mean, again, this needs to change in the Indian startup ecosystem. Yes, people are raising capital and their valuations are increasing. That's just a milestone that you've achieved. Your business has arrived when it becomes profitable and when it starts generating value for your shareholders, right? So yes, raise money, increase valuation, raise money, increase valuations. There's been a frenzy around that. But if you have to make long-term sustainable businesses, then, don't get carried away by valuations. Whatever money you raise, that's not your first valuation or last valuation. If you are creating value, your business will be valued. If you're providing value to your stakeholders, customers, your business will grow irrespective. That's why I have great respect for Sridhar Vembu of Zoho, who built it from Tamil Nadu, from a village there, without raising any venture capital. That's the kind of startup culture that we need to build in India.
Super, madam. One last question for the evening. Before we let you go and tell Mythili to give the closing comments, Mythili, Lata. It's a question again from Raghu Raman from Chennai, and he wants to know how important is the culture to you and the organizing culture, and what measure did you take to maintain the desired culture in your organization? What's your advice as a corporate entrepreneurial leader, and what do you ensure that, how did you ensure these values are upheld by employees all the time?
Right. Actually, that's a very brilliant question. It is said that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Breakfast.
Yeah. So, in a startup, all the more, right? I mean, when you are building, you obviously can't pay market fees, right? So you need to drive your team to believe in the vision and, work in your company with passion, right? So, and it has to be reflective of how you operate, right? So you are building a tribe of sorts, every startup is a tribe culture, right? So it's a family that you're creating, and you shouldn't take people as stepping stones to your success. That's a very wrong approach. If you take them together, they will stand by you at the toughest of the times, and which is needed when you're building in a startup, right? And that comes, as to how you operate as a leader, right? So it has to be reflective. You shouldn't be caring just by saying that you're caring, but it should come into your own actions. Small little gestures, of greeting or sending a cake, to someone's kid's birthday will make them feel, more as a family than anything else. Asking someone as to how they are doing today, just giving a smile, those small little touches, gives your, and empower them and believe them and trust them. That is what, is required to build the culture. Give people the freedom and, believe them and empower them, and that is what will help you build the culture. And it is very critical. You can't build a company with people. You have to just they are not pegs in the story that they are actual, part of the whole vision. Without them, your startup doesn't exist. So you have to, work like that. Only then will something be successful. Yeah.
Thank you, Richa. Brilliant. You have been so kind to respond patiently to all the questions raised by the viewers from different social media portals. And now I request Mythili and Lata, any closing thoughts before
Go
we
ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, very quick thought. I think in Richa, we have found a gold mine of experience.
Yes,
And
I agree.
I will close by using one of her phrases, which is ask for help. So to all the current entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience, ask for help. All of us here may not be entrepreneurs, but we are keen to connect you to other people. The real success of talks like this is not just in how many people joined the evening, but how many people followed up and reached out and asked to continue the relationship. Yeah. So ask for help is what I would leave the audience with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Richa, thank you so much for joining this evening. I know how busy you are. And next time when you visit Chennai, you must visit our state of art auditorium and beautiful place we have.
We'll have you done all this by being in India?
Yes.
Right through?
Very.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
And as a token of appreciation on behalf of Mythili and Lata, on behalf of Madras Management Association, we would like to present you this, what we could do when we are separated by the pandemic. And on behalf of you, we would like to present to the people who really deserve it is 300 face mask and 100 mini sanitizer. So what we do, our team goes around to the difficult places and distribute them and educate them till 100% vaccination done. This is what we could do. And we also do a lot of vaccination. We go our team and we collaborate with Chennai Corporation to the vaccination. We give them rations and we do a lot of things which really need. And as you said, seek help. We go and give help to a lot of people what need them, because that is also one of the NGO concept which we really strongly built in our Madras Management Association. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mythili. Thank you, Lata, for joining us this evening. And
Thank you.
Thank you, Richa. It's really wonderful having you with us, and look forward to seeing you more. And stay safe, stay healthy, and till we meet again. Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.